What to expect when getting arrested for the first time in the UK. So you've been a naughty boy, or the police think you've been a naughty boy. You're about to get arrested. Get your notepad because I'm about to tell you exactly what to expect when being arrested in the UK. There are many different scenarios in which you can be arrested. You could be arrested at the scene of a crime. The police could come to your address, place of work, or wherever you may be hiding. You could even hand yourself into the police station. Either way, once they have you, the process will almost always be the same. They will start by reading you your rights. They will sound something along the lines of, John Smith, I'm arresting you on suspicion of not paying your parking ticket. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you may later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. If deemed necessary, the police will place cuffs on you. If the police take an instant disliking to you, then a trick they like to do is purposely put the cuffs on much tighter than they need to be. You may say something like, Officer, the cuffs are way too tight. They're cutting into my wrists. Can you please just loosen them by 1 notch? The police won't listen to you. After seeing your hands turn blue in the back of the police car, you may say, Officer, the cuffs are so tight. They're cutting off my circulation. Please just loosen them. I'm no trouble. I'm coming quietly and peacefully. You will be quiet, waiting for a response. But the police will just simply talk amongst themselves about the latest episode of Line of Duty as if you don't exist. When they do this, what you do next will depend on what kind of person you are. If you're posh, you will look at their badge number and swear to yourself, when I get out of this mess, I'm having your job. Or if you're the opposite of posh, you will swear to yourself that when you get out of this mess, you will look for him. You will find him and you will kill him. Whether you're posh or not, the outcome will almost always be the same. Once you really are out of the mess, you'll forget about the officer completely. You'll usually be taken to a police station. You'll be signed in at the front desk and you'll be placed inside a holding cell until they are ready to interview you. If you're anything like me, then you'll present yourself in a really nice way to show the officers around you what a lovely person you are. You will say your please and thank yous, even crack a joke or two and comply with each and every request they make. You'll do this because your brain will think, if I'm really nice to everyone, they'll think this polite, well-mannered man couldn't possibly be the geezer we're looking for. We've clearly made a mistake. I think we should probably just let him go now with no further actions. As soon as you're in the interview room, you will realise that your plan was completely pointless. Whether you've been arrested for murder or for not paying your council tax, the police will normally treat you the same, just like another criminal. Before putting you into a cell, the police will take your possessions and bag them up. They will take your belt, shoes, any string from hoodies or jogging bottoms or anything else that you could use to harm yourself. Some holding cells have a poor excuse for a mattress, similar to one you would find in your junior school gym. It will be placed on a raised concrete shelf that they like to call a bed, while others don't have any mattresses at all. You may ask for a blanket to keep you warm from the cold concrete floors and walls. They will provide you with the itchiest, most uncomfortable blanket you've ever had. You will look at the toilet and realise that you've never seen a pure metal toilet with no seat before. You will see tracing paper toilet roll and again be reminded of your junior school. The cell doors are a huge overkill. A rhinoceros couldn't break through those doors. They are simply built to make you feel helplessly alone and trapped. The mattress, toilet, blanket, temperature, look, feel, door, and everything else is made to make you feel uncomfortable. They say everyone is meant to be innocent until proven guilty, but by this point, they have already made you feel like a prisoner. Ask any ex-convict and they'll tell you that the police holding cells are much worse than prison cells. This is a true story for you. Now, once back in the day, there was a warrant out for my arrest, and I chose to hand myself in. As I knew that I would be put inside a holding cell, I had my MP3 player, earphones, a lighter, and one cigarette all down my tight boxers when I went into the police station. They booked me in and I was searched. After emptying my pockets, the officer's hands missed all my hidden items completely. Also, when he emptied my pockets and put my phone and wallet and other items on the desk in front of me, there was half a second when none of the officers were looking at me. I quickly grabbed the phone off the countertop and put it back in my pocket. When the officer bagged the wallet and other things up, the missing phone was just not noticed, and I was escorted to my cell with my phone in my pocket, trying my best not to grin. I had no signal at all in the cell, so I couldn't make any calls or texts. I just lay there listening to my music on the MP3 player and playing on my phone. After a couple of hours, I decided it was time for my one cigarette. I put it to my lips and lit it. I had not got halfway through my cigarette before my cell door opened and an officer just stood there looking at me, lay down, on my phone, lighter on the floor, MP3 player on my chest, earphones in my ears, and a lit cigarette in my mouth, staring back at him as if he just walked into my bedroom. So, of course, he took all the items from me. I remember the next day I saw the officer who had initially patted me down, and I noticed that it was being really off with me. I then realised he'd probably been made fun of by the other officers, or maybe even gotten in trouble for his poor search skills the day before. If I'm being honest, I did feel pretty bad for him. I digress. Anyway, let's get back on track. So, you can be held in a holding cell for up to 24 hours. Now, the police can request an extension on this, but unless it's a unique situation, they won't normally do this. Waiting in a cell for all that time will be a lonely experience. Time will seem to move much slower in the holding cell. You will seriously consider entertaining yourself out of boredom, if you know what I mean. But either a camera will put you off the idea, or the thought of trying to soak up liquid with tracing paper will definitely deter you. The officers are required to feed you. They'll give you the option of a sandwich or hot meals. When they read you the options, you will hear them offer an all-day breakfast, and you'll choose that. You will wait and imagine this. 5 minutes later, you'll receive this. Believe it or not, that meal will be the highlight of your stay in that cell. You will wonder if it's really possible to die from boredom when you're in there. Another quick story for you. I'd once asked to be given a magazine to read while I was in a holding cell, and the officer must have been in a good mood that day as he kindly gave me one. I remember inside there was a sudoku puzzle, but of course I didn't have and wouldn't be allowed a pen. However, when you're bored, you become very creative. I carefully, using only my fingers, tore out numbers from the pages and anywhere else in the magazine. So in the end I had around 70 individual numbers from 1 to 9. It took a very long time to do that, as you can imagine. I then lay on the floor and completed the sudoku, carefully placing each number in the correct place. I stood up and looked at my work. My young brain was so proud. Similar to a freshly completed puzzle, I didn't want to just mess it all up straight away. So I then went another 3 hours or so with the magazine just lay on the floor. I couldn't even read the magazine now, as it would mess up what had taken me well over an hour to do. After some time, as it does when you're locked up in a cell, my mind started to wander. I thought to myself, when the officer comes to my cell, he will open the door, see what I've done, and think to himself, whoa, Alex is so smart. Not only has he creatively found a method to play this game without a pen, but he's also completed the hard Sudoku puzzle as well. He must be a highly intelligent lad. He can't possibly be guilty for this crime he's being held for. Now that I think back, I realise what a plonker I was for thinking in this way. But for my excuse, it was a very long time ago. I was very young, and listen, when you're locked up in those cells, confined in a tight space for long periods of time, your brain does start to play tricks on you. After a few more hours, the moment I had been waiting for finally came, and I heard the key turning in my door. I sat up, watched the door swing open and blow all of the tiny numbers it had taken me over an hour to do all around the cell. I watched the officer look at the newly formed mess on the cell floor in disgust. He then looked up at me, wondering why I tear up tiny bits of the magazine he kindly gave me for no reason. I was too upset to even be bothered to explain, so I just allowed him to think that I was a complete weirdo who had a paper ripping fetish. Police interviews. Interviews is a whole nother subject. I want to make a video about what happens after, in regards to whether they choose to charge you, release you on bail, remand you, and many other options. But I definitely want to delve into the tactics they use, the psychology of it all, when you should use a solicitor, when you should no comment, and many other bits of information. I will definitely do another video very soon, so stay tuned and keep an eye out for a video coming to you in the next 5 years. Anyway, thanks for watching, and peace.